Another thing we saw once is a question about whether press releases are copyrighted. Webmaster put a press release up on their website and then got angry because people were stealing their material and it was put on a couple of other sites. If you say that something's a press release, that is giving an implicit authorization for anyone, any other media outlet, and all websites are media outlets, to take that material and use it. And in press releases, you're entitled to take that material and change it, excerpt from it, remove links if they're there. So press releases are a good thing to do if you want to have wide distribution of something or to facilitate the distribution of something, but not if you want to control the way it's distributed or how it's used, because there is basically a license granted to anyone to use it how they see fit. So I'm going to give a couple of other examples. This is from the GPWA website. We have a list of portal websites on there. So this is just a little excerpt from that list. And on the directory of sites here we have screenshots of the home page and we have descriptions of the sites. The screenshots are fair use. They're like thumbnails. And so that's something we can do or anyone else can do for any website when building a directory, is to capture screenshots. That's considered fair use, even though the website itself is a copyrighted work. The screenshot's fair use of that material. Another example is the short descriptions we have here. Sometimes those descriptions are things that we write from scratch. Sometimes we'll take a sentence or two from the website that describes itself. That type of excerpt from a website about its description from itself is considered a fair use and is permitted even if it wasn't written by us, if it was taken from the website. So another example from the CasinoCity website. One of the things CasinoCity does is have reviews of different slot games or information about them. And in that context, we take screenshots of games. Lots of webmasters do that. Taking a screenshot of a game to use in a review is a fair use. Not just if it's a thumbnail, actually showing the whole thing is a fair use if it's part of a review. On the other hand, if you go to another webmaster's website and they've taken screenshots and gone to the effort of doing that to put in reviews of theirs, for you to take the screenshots that they've taken from their site is not a fair use of their material. You have to do it from scratch yourself or have permission to do it to fall under the guidelines for copyright. There was a website that was recently looked at in the GPWA called BetFeeds, and that website had consisted basically of RSS feeds of information from a bunch of different sites, or just looking at those feeds. And the website basically would have the header, which was the header for the article, and then a short description. We've got one here shown on the left-hand side. And some of the webmasters were saying they're copying material from sites. That's a copyright violation. This site shouldn't be approved as a GPWA approved portal. That's one where I actually had to step in and say, no, that use is a fair use under copyright law. That's a completely legitimate thing for the webmaster to be doing. It's much the same sort of thing as search engines do. And so that's a fair use, and that's a permitted and legitimate use of material from other websites. In this case, those snippets then, linked off to the original website, just like a search engine does for someone to go there. if they'd gone to copies of the articles on this site, then of course that would be a copyright violation. You're not entitled to take the whole articles. Now, it actually ends up that people do get sued about this stuff. There's a pretty well-known situation going on right now. A bunch of webmasters, the Las Vegas Review Journal, which is in Las Vegas, does a lot of articles on the gaming industry and publishes a lot of them. And you know, some webmasters have taken articles from them and placed them in blogs or on their site, you know, perhaps linking back and giving credit to the Las Vegas Review Journal. What happened is there's this company, Right Haven, that was formed, and it was formed expressly for the purpose of finding articles that had been taken from different organizations like the press, like the Las Vegas Review Journal. And when those articles were found, then suing the website owner for copyright infringement to collect damages, and basically to make money as an organization, going after people that had taken copyrights from other. The process was pretty simple from their point of view. On this, I've got an example. When they'd find an article that was owned by Las Vegas Review Journal, they'd go and pay get the Las Vegas Review Journal to hand over the copyright to the article to them. And this is an example of such an assignment where Las Vegas Review Journal says this article is now owned by Right Haven, and then Right Haven would go and file a lawsuit against the webmaster. And so the people that are being sued, there's, as of the end of September, there were 144 lawsuits that had been handed out to different webmasters for taking articles from there. An estimate of about $140,000 in damages collected so far out of the 35 cases, based on an average settlement of $4,000. So there are some pitfalls to be aware of there. And you know, particularly a lot of times webmasters might think, well, these guys are big media companies, it's not hurting them very much, I'm giving them a link back. The publishing industry in general is getting very angry at that going on, and so there's probably going to be a lot more of this type of activity going on the web than there has been historically, in terms of publishers going back and going to court over their rights. Now, there's a flip side of this too, which is a webmaster, for example, you know, our company runs the forum for the GPWA website. Lots of webmasters might run forums. When you run a forum, then you have a situation where other third parties can go and post information on those forums. They might post an article they read somewhere, and so you have situations where that article might be copyrighted by someone else, and if they put it up on your site, then you suddenly end up with someone else's copyrighted material on your site. And you could potentially be held liable for that. In the US, there's something called DCMA Safe Harbor, but the same rules generally apply worldwide. Although the Safe Harbor is particularly important because, for example, Google does worry about what US laws are and does take the DCMA Safe Harbor provisions fairly seriously. And basically what they say, if you're someone like a forum operator or a search engine or an internet service provider, if you do a few things, then you don't have to be worried about being sued for copyright infringement if there's someone else's material that you're making accessible on the web. And the requirements are that the service provider can't have knowledge of the fact that there was an infringing or benefit personally from that particular infringing article being on their network. They have to have a copyright policy that says that that information is not to be allowed to put up on the area, so their users are violating their policy when they do that. And they have to provide a way for people to notify them when there's a copyright violation. And when there is such a notice, they have to react promptly to it. And then finally, they have to file or list their agent with, to deal with copyright complaints.